You're listening to IHC's podcast. So, welcome to the IHC podcast, where culture meets community. I'm your host, Marissa Hemstreet, and I'm from the Canyoncito Band of Navajos and your communications coordinator from the Indian Health Center of Santa Clara Valley, where we provide medical, dental, counseling, WIC, and prevention services to over 23,000 members, while specializing in the unique healthcare and needs of American Indians and Alaska Natives. And today we're here speaking with.
Hi, I'm Brooke. Pronoun she, her. I'm a fitness coach and a general menace.
I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Our topic is, about new year, new mindset. So that's really, I really wanted to speak with you today because you're a trainer. You've been my trainer in the past and amazing at your job and just an overall vibe, which I appreciate. Did you want to share a little bit about embarking on your transformative fitness journey? What inspired you to start?
Sure. No, I love to ramble about I guess my lore. My fitness journey started October of 2011. A friend of mine that I played World of Warcraft with had found out that I'd gone from borderline diabetic to like full-blown type 2 diabetes. And had gotten some like instructions and protocol to follow from his doctor. And he sort of invited me out to lunch with him and dropped that on the table for me and informed me that he wanted me to be his diet buddy. And so that sort of threw me into the deep end of blindly adhering to the protocol that he'd given me, which at the time was just effectively just carb counting. And my brain just melted into my feet. No, this went relatively well for the both of us working together for the first few months, and then we hit Thanksgiving of that year, and he sort of fell off the wagon. And I understood that he needed me to do this thing for him, so I just kind of kept on keeping on rather than like nagging at him. So I continued to set the example for him. And so we fast forward 53 weeks from the starting point, and I'd gone from 375 pounds of me down to 173 pounds of me. All while just blindly following the rules that I'd been given to follow and making adjustments to numbers as things started to taper off. And recognize that, oh, hey, I should probably learn more about what it is that I've just kind of done to myself, especially because I'm starting to have respiratory trouble. As it turns out, if you are effectively starving yourself and keeping your activity levels absurdly high, there are consequences when you run out of normal tissues to diet and exercise away. But this sort of, I guess, kind of shifted gears for me because up until that point, I was still a computer science major. But upon discovering that like there's actually kind of some understood science about how the human body works and exercise programs work, and at this point, I will say a very fiddly understanding of nutrition and the human body, that just really opened up an entire new world for me. And so then, yeah, I ended up dropping my computer science major and started up with a kinesiology major and nutrition minor. And got a gym membership and made myself everyone else's problem.
I love that. One time I came in for a training and I remember your name tag said your problem now.
I have taken many artistic liberties with the label sticker machine. I'm also a big. I think my next favorite after your problem now was a Swoletariat.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, well, I like that you shared your whole journey, when it comes to, losing weight, being that like buddy system for your friend who is having some health struggles. But then also recognizing that maybe that behavior that lost all that weight initially might not have been the best way to go about it. But I mean,
Oh gods, yeah.
and you had to, like you were saying, that you had to deal with the consequences of like not really fully understanding what you did to your body.
It's true. Like frankly, the other really big factor that kind of fed into all of that in the beginning was at that time undiagnosed autism, undiagnosed ADHD, and being told you need to do a thing and these are the rules. So I was like, I guess I will blindly follow this protocol until the heat death of the universe, until something says there's an error. And so, yeah, I recognize that the way that I lost a staggering amount of weight is one, not a way that the average person is or should do. And two, should not be the lens through which like I help other people to try and reach their fitness goals. I'm not going to like go to my clients and be like, okay, so you need to eat exactly the same exact boring day in and day out. Track it meticulously. Bring the scale to the family potluck.
For the listeners, we're being very sarcastic right now. Please
Oh
don't
yeah,
take
yeah.
this.
No, this is. Where's my disclaimer? I need a disclaimer sign. These are not the official stances of Brooke or also 24-hour Fitness Corporate and their subsidiaries.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I appreciated in even like our training sessions. Even as a trainer myself, it's good to learn other ways of approaching like a wellness journey. I was more on like the aspect of like calisthenics and cardio and dancing. Dancing's my jam,
Hell
footwork,
yeah.
I'm in. But then when it came to weightlifting, I was like, I have no clue about this. I understand basics of like how to lift up 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 45 pounds, but not how to pick up like 200 pounds. So, and do it safely.
I
So
was gonna say, having worked with you, I know better than that statement. You can pick up
but
200 pounds like it's easy.
it felt well I didn't feel super confident in my form, and so that's why it's always good to learn from the experts or the folks who do it day in and day out. And it's just nice to know that you were the person to kind of help with that journey. But then also I never felt pressured to do any specific movement. I never felt pressured to eat a certain way. I never felt body shamed. It was always appreciating myself. And even when I would say negative comments, I would see Brooke's judgmental face and be like, hey, you gotta be nice to ourselves today.
Like there are very, very few hard rules I have with my clients, which of course you've already gotten the spiel. Rule one is do not train with Brooke on an empty stomach. It will go poorly. Rule two is be nice to you. It is my job to beat you up and not yours. Those are the two big ones. And I still have some clients lately that are really trying to push it with the first one. It's like, okay, so we are 2 minutes into your warm-ups and I am seeing low blood sugar signs. What have we had today?
Yeah, and that was totally different from previous training experiences I've had, because I went to work out with you like 6 in the morning, and so Marissa doesn't wake up at 6 normally, or even 5:30 normally. So I didn't have a chance to eat, and I just ran straight to the gym. And you saw those low blood sugar signs, and you're like, nope, have some snacks immediately.
Thankfully, a bunch of my clients are like Gen X moms, and all of them have this same behavioral trait where they will be worried about the amount of snacks that they have in their cupboard that their 8 or 9-year-old kid has access to, and then they'll just get like a gallon Ziploc bag and then shove a bunch of that into the bag and bring it to me because they know that I have basically zero food taboos. I'll eat anything, and so then I just have emergency carbs on hand for such emergencies.
Yeah, and it was much appreciated. I felt like 100 times better, like after I got some carbs in me, and then just understanding that like the carbohydrate, like protein relationship, how protein doesn't really help fuel you for a workout, and just all those types of things. And that's something else I learned in like my physiology class. But before that class, I was like, oh wait, what? I thought protein was good to eat before a workout.
In like bits and pieces, but we probably don't need to go like way into the weeds on that. But yeah, as it turns out, we need that kind of insulin shuttle to get things to where they need to go.
Yeah, and so that was helpful. And then just knowing that, so that it helped my sessions like improve incrementally each time, and I didn't feel as sick, and I didn't feel like I was gonna fall over. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and then one of the things that you shared with me is that you're a trans woman, and how, and like you are okay, for the listeners, she is muscle mommy. Okay, I'm letting you know, if you are not watching, you're missing out.
It's muscle mother. Thank you.
Muscle mother. Yeah, and so how does your personal identity influence your approach to fitness and your role as a coach?
So there was this brief period of time really early on when I was starting to kind of decouple and process all of my gender stuff, where I really had to kind of sit down and figure out which of the things that I still did and engaged with were me, or what were things that I was doing as a coping mechanism slash a form of repression slash trying to fit in, etc. But my desire to lift things up and put them down turns out to be just very intrinsically Brooke, and have long since concluded, especially after a number of festive romance novels in gym settings, that like, just because you enjoy lifting things up and putting them down and building up muscle mass, that can still be feminine. That can still be perceived as sexy. You don't have to like put yourself in a particular body shape slash structure box because of some assigned trait for it. And the other motivations that go in behind it are, it is endlessly and deeply hilarious to be unnecessarily strong in a setting and general lifestyle that doesn't technically require it. Just like, yeah, let me just move all of this over here at once. And people just kind of going in response to it, oh, there's a visual bit there. I'm looking with shock and awe as something moves, and it's great.
Yeah, I appreciate that too.
My wife, my sick wife over there is also indicating that she appreciates that I continue to lift things up and put them down for the purpose of shaping my body in interesting ways.
Glad. Yeah, it's always great to have your body reaffirmed by your partner.
Yeah.
That they appreciate it. So that's awesome. And yeah, I see the when you like I okay, for reference, folks, for the listeners, when I went to a training session, I was struggling. I was riding the struggle bus, trying to lift up a certain weight. I don't remember what it was, but Brooke uses her little claws. Claws isn't just an index and middle finger to grip the bar and put it up top and just threw it up there like it was 5 pounds. And I was like, oh, that. And this child put 2 fingers and 2 fingers hook and boom, threw it up. But I was like, okay, those are goals, and also that's hurtful.
Okay, so powerlifting, being involved in powerlifting specifically for now getting closer and closer to 15 years has inflicted a very unique flavor of brain rot that I've not seen from any other kind of sport. Especially if you take a look at like women's records in powerlifting, where the difference between the top 5% in women's powerlifting and then everyone below that sometimes is as big of a difference as 70% higher lifts. So be like the top 5% are deadlifting 700, and then like the next category down below that, so 90, the 6% strongest is only pulling like in, I don't know, the fours to fives. And it is astonishing. And I haven't found another sport with like measured increments like that. But the problem now is things that I take for granted as I just mundanely go about like loading plates for my clients, and putting things away just because I'm trying to, make the best use of the time that they have paid for, has resulted in just a bunch of people going, you made that look like it was nothing, and I was struggling for my life with that. What are you? Meanwhile, I'm like, no, there's people warming up their bench with my max deadlift. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah, it all depends on context. Yes. I would see that. I work specifically with like elders or folks who are dealing with other health issues. So I was muscle mother in my gym. And then I got muscle mothered. So that was nice. And it's always
muscle
good to
grandmother.
Yeah. It's always nice to be humbled. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Oh.
Yeah. One of the things that I got to read in your crazy bio on the 24-hour fitness
oh no.
It's a treat. If the listeners, if you get a chance, check it out on this website. But one of the things that you mentioned is that you became a coach to be the person that you needed on your own fitness journey. Can you share a little bit about what that means and how that informs your coaching style?
So it's really interesting. As I've rambled to you about the past, I come from a truly cursed bloodline. We just have whole generations of messy people with various bits of neurodivergent traits and disorders, etc. And it seems like everyone in my generation has opted that we're going to figure out the correct sequence of events to break this family curse once and for all by going into career fields that are directly related to things that have been hard for us or struggles that we've gone through. So like I have a sibling that is working to become a therapist a specifically a psychiatrist after having to work through a bunch of things with a psychologist and a psychiatrist to deal with their things. Another that's becoming a nurse practitioner to be able to like advocate and prescribe for trans people in need. And in my case, it's I blindly followed dietary restrictions and exercise protocol to a point where it was actually dangerous to my health by the end of it. And didn't know any of the underlying things behind it. And it was like, it'd have been really cool if there'd been like somebody who gave it, who cared about my well-being. And was knowledgeable about the subject to be able to guide me in the process in a way that didn't have such dire consequences, while also making it a hopefully as least torturous and most enjoyable as possible. And so that's sort of what I endeavored to do. I set out to be able to work with people in a hands-on capacity. Originally, when I changed majors, I thought that I wanted to be like a registered dietitian and help with things in like the if we're being extremely reductive and we're using the eat less, move more slogan, helping people with the eating less part, but found that I am most comfortable and really in my lane when I'm helping people with the move more part. And I feel like that's psychologically kind of also one of the more helpful avenues to pursue, especially if people do have goals that pertain to wanting to change a particular health marker for them, like A1C, weight, etc. That rather than creating a cycle of like self-abuse and torture and restricting things that they enjoy, simply trying to add to their normal activity levels so that their body goes, oh yeah, it costs more energy just to exist. And so, then circa 2013, I kind of got into the career field and they apparently decided that I'm worth keeping around. So y'all have been tolerating me for now working on my 11th year as a fitness coach.
Yeah, and that's really the journey and like the whole you help people because you wanted that help, and I feel like that's also healing little Brooke.
Yeah.
So awesome. And, as a former trainee of you, hopefully future training when I get money, that I truly saw that too, especially when I would come in for a session, again, judgment-free zone. Can you do this? I believe in you. Don't doubt yourself. You got this. And that was every day, super positive and very appreciated. Or I was appreciative of that for them, especially in the morning, because I'm not a morning person. So thank you. God bless.
Other clients are like, oh God, Brooke's a morning person. Brooke, it is 6 a.m. You cannot be coming at me with the good morning.
So that was appreciated, and it kind of got me to become the morning person as well. And my boyfriend was just like, why?
Spite.
So many people struggle to find empathy and humanity in the fitness world. Sometimes it can be a little harsh. How do you incorporate those qualities into your work with your clients? I know, like earlier, you just said that you want to be that person to help folks, just like you needed during your journey, during the beginning of your journey. But do you struggle to find empathy and humanity, or do you feel like that's just something that naturally comes to you?
So part of it stems from I guess we'll put this as the dark origins of my fitness journey. Some of the earliest sources that I learned about fitness and started like acquiring textbooks and spreadsheets and such was unfortunately 4chan, which it was at least thankfully 4chan in the mid-aughts as opposed to 4chan after things got Reaganized, frankly. But what I learned about specifically when it comes to like empathy is that the people on the internet did not have it, and there was a lot of really, really just abject cruelty being pointed at people for all manner of things because there's nothing kind of tethering them to their statements and the effects that they have. Um, and it's almost instantaneous that if you go from having a 4chan level conversation with other people and attempt to have a 4chan style conversation with a real person, it is going to have wildly different effects. And so realizing that, oh, right, the things that people are saying to each other on the internet are awful, and we should probably have more than none thought between our brain and our mouth in regards to considering the impact our words or things that we ask people to do could have on them, really starts to bake that in. And then just kind of over time, I guess some of it also comes from being a theater kid and a D&D kid. It's just learning to people requires empathy and the ability to just like extend a little bit of grace towards them and their circumstances and recognize that, like, again, sure, I was able to weaponize my neurodivergent traits against my body to achieve a particular result, but it's not safe or sane or humane to apply that sort of really, really rigid thinking to other people. If someone struggles with their eating habits, it's not going to be a productive use of any energy to try and increase shame to that, because for a lot of people, like if they're feeling negative emotions like shame, that is going to increase their body's desire to reach out to things that they know will help regulate their central nervous system or try and bring them back to like an emotionally less bad place. But if one of those tools that they reach out for continues this cycle of changing the parameters in the direction that they don't want to, it's not going to be good to feed that particular instinct or pattern. And so, again, my mouth just went bleh.
No worries.
Anyway, right, shame. There's very, very little to gain from increasing, trying to build new life-changing habits off of essentially a foundation of negative emotions. So shame, I recognize that spite is a powerful motivator, but I don't want that to be the key motivator. I want to find something else positive that can be built upon, even if the thing that may have started the process was something like spite. And so getting people to kind of graduate from doing it out of those senses to try and find something to enjoy about it, so that this isn't just like a temporary stopgap measure because someone with a lab coat and stethoscope and a chart said that, well, you have to change these markers or you're bad. Yeah.
And that I could not have articulated that any better. I think that that's an amazing
generous
answer.
Thank you.
Because I was like, whoa. I'll drop the mic. So yeah, the reason that what is the word that resonated with me so much is because, so often, especially in the fitness world, folks will say if you have a certain body fat percentage, if you don't look a certain way, you don't meet a certain archetype, that, oh, you're less than and you don't belong in this community. And it's because it's the fitness industry is so like, visual and like physical that, they use those characters and characteristics to, define the person as a whole, and not just understanding that that's just a part of them, that's not their whole being. And so I appreciate that. Thank you. And
I didn't even have to break out the hammer and sickle and talk about the abusive nature of marketing and capitalism and the patriot.
Yeah,
it's a thing though.
Yeah, especially in the fitness industry, it can be a little scary, but that I don't want to deter anybody if that's something that they're interested in doing. There are beautiful human beings in
Oh,
the industry who approach everyone with 100% humility and kindness, and that just because there's certain toxic people in certain areas and aspects of the fitness industry does not mean that that's everyone. So don't be scared. Come to the gym, come work out with us if you want.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's if you are interested, I totally recommend pursuing it. And so, on that note, what tips do you have for beginners to help them build, a sustainable fitness and wellness habits that last?
Step one, start small. if you are just getting into fitness, if you've gone 10, 15 years since the last time you did some sort of structured physical activity, you do not need 13 different exercises on a chart per muscle group. Start real basic. Find even one time a week where you can get up and do even as little as 20 minutes of activity. It doesn't even have to be sustained activity if your body won't allow for. Start small and start from what you are capable of. The next biggest thing that I would say is recognize that everybody starts at whatever level of activity or I don't know, genetic talent or hormone profile that they start. And comparing yourself to what performance somebody else is able to do as a means of weighing your own self-worth is a recipe for terminating any joy that you could possibly derive from a thing. If I allowed even if I allowed my ability to perform even in the sport that I enjoy, which is powerlifting, if I allowed the fact that there are the vast majority of serious athletes in powerlifting who are blowing my lifts out of the water to affect how I feel about my own lifts at a serious level, I would probably drop from the sport altogether. And it's really, really easy for people just getting started out to want to, say, open up YouTube and pull up every video guide for every possible exercise from every self-proclaimed or accredited fitness expert and go, well, I guess I'm going to follow their routine because I want to look like them. Don't overload yourself. Start real small. Build on that.
Yeah,
So
build the
those are the
foundation.
big ones.
Yeah, and I like that you said even 20 minutes. And one of the things that I got to learn, I forgot in which class I've been in school for so long. I feel like I'm never going to stop.
Forever student.
I think it was motor learning or physiological assessment. I got it.
Ooh.
And in that one, we were talking about, how much an adult has to work out per week to have, incremental like health benefits of exercise and weightlifting, whatever. And it's 150 minutes per week. And it's an increments. It doesn't all have to be done at once. And like you said, it could
Yeah.
be 20 minutes a day. Boom.
Yep.
And you get there. You'll get there eventually. So I like that reiteration about, just start. Start
Yes.
small. And that, if you give yourself all these tasks to do at once and you don't complete them all, of course it can seem daunting and like, oh man, this isn't for me. But in reality, it is. You just got to take it slow. And just like everything, we have to learn how to crawl before we can walk and before we can run. Yeah.
It's really the same as sort of any skill or task with like increasing layers of complexity. I discovered I kind of applied the same approach to learning makeup. Like, okay, I'm going to start with this. We're going to start with one item. We're going to get comfortable with that. Okay, this is fine. Now we're going to add blush. Okay, we're fine there, and so on and so forth. Start simple, add layers as needed, as
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah, I like that. You don't go full face of makeup at first.
No,
You start with maybe like learning how to use lip liner or eyeliner. Eyeliner
right.
is hard.
It was eyeshadow that scared me for the longest time. Like I struggled with eyeliner for a hot minute, and then I was like, oh, it's actually the type of applicator that I'm using. Okay, cool. Then eyeshadow, I'm like, okay, there are so many colors. How am I going to own all the colors?
And
And
then
now
how
it's
do you
like,
pair them? How do you blend them? All that fun stuff.
no, heck with it. Every day is wedding makeup. Wedding makeup in the gym. Fight me.
I love it. Yeah. It really depends on the eyeliner. If there's any listeners like looking for an eyeliner that's gonna last me in the gym, Milani liquid eyeliner. It stays with me all day. I can swim with it. I can shower with it. And it still stays on. That's the hard part though, because then you have to like scrape your eyeball. But the thing that takes it off is micellar water, just in case
Yep,
anybody
yep.
needs to know that. In case you're wondering. Um,
Yup.
yeah, but what challenges have you faced in your own fitness and personal journey, and how have you overcome them? I know we said earlier about the following a routine blindly and then learning more about it once there was consequences to that routine. But did you face any other challenges or struggles?
Oh God, yeah. Okay, so challenge number one, once we started to actually learn about the process, I actually like got a gym membership. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna do regular structured exercise. Challenge number one was not being afraid of food anymore after going through the massive weight loss process. And having to learn how to build a hopefully sustainable and maybe emotionally and psychologically healthy relationship with food again, and recognizing that food isn't bad, and that like there being increased fat storage on the body is not a consequence for enjoying food. So trying to decouple a whole bunch of again, this comes back to the awful marketing thing, trying to decouple the media and the societal stigma of food and human shapeness was a big thing that took me several months of like hard work to kind of overcome, going, okay, no, I have goals. And for those goals, I do need to make sure there's enough fuel in my body to build these new muscles that I want. So that was big hurdle number one. Big hurdle number two was that aforementioned undiagnosed autism and ADHD thing, resulting in uh a cycle that emerged. Oh, neat. This workout program looks great. Does the first 2 to 3 weeks of a program, encounters resistance from the program. Oh, this new workout program looks great. Does the first couple of weeks of that program, lather, rinse, repeat. And that consumed my gym time for the better part of like a solid year and a half of just never ending. This program will fix me. Spoilers, no program will fix me. So those were some of the bigger hurdles. And then later, once we actually started getting into structured and like consistent routines and actually staying with them, with admittedly someone either emailing me or messaging me going, Brooke, you have spent money for me to help you on this thing. Please stay with the thing. If you trust in me, please do the thing, Brooke. Um, was allowing for two things. One, allowing for being actually recovering from workouts and not just going, well, it's fine. I don't need a rest day. I can just do more workouts in a week and it'll be fine. I won't burn out ever. This could never happen to me. I'm invincible. Ow. And the other being having a little bit of faith in the process and allowing things to kind of take hold and not scratching the itch to make changes or adjustments to things that don't need adjusting. And that's a hard one for me because new thing looks great. New thing could, okay, I know I was doing leg extensions, but like, what if I did them with blood flow occlusion, though? That it could be better. So not scratching the itch to change things until there is a stimulus that isn't being met or it is clear that adaptation isn't happening.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing those. Especially, I like the one where you're saying, like, okay, this one's not working, so I'm gonna skip to this one, or I'm gonna skip to that one. That again, that is very ADHD, and I empathize. I totally relate. That's me when I'm cleaning the house, and I start with one room, and then somehow that ends up in me cleaning like 4 rooms, and I have
What
a
am I
new
even
room with
doing
mess.
in the garage?
Yeah, I'm like, what? What? How did I get here? So I completely relate to that one. And I hope that, encourages the listeners if they're interested in embarking on a wellness journey for themselves, no matter what that looks like for them, that they don't just stop because it starts not to feel great, maybe in week 4 of like a 6-week program, and, try to stick it out, see if it at the end of it, if it's for you. If it's not, that's completely fine, but at least trying to stick with it and fight the ADHD urge to
It's
switch.
hard.
It is hard. And we can both empathize with that for
And this is
anybody who's
why
dealing with it.
and this is why we have 32 milligrams of Concerta.
To help with the switching urge. I love
It helped. It do help with that for me.
it.
Doesn't help with the running my mouth thing.
Yeah. I feel that way too with myself. That's why I'm here on a podcast, I guess. Woohoo. But what's one of the like most impactful lessons that you've learned from coaching others, and
Mm.
how has that shaped you as a person?
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay. So the big one there, especially in a career field like being a fitness coach or personal trainer, is that the people that I work with are choosing to trust me with something that many of them, I would say probably objectively most of them, are truly insecure about in themselves. And they are trusting me to like see that again with some empathy and to not judge them for it and to not use that to hurt them in some way. And that's a really, really big thing that I think there are still some fitness coaches out there that really struggle with that, where they want to kind of lean into either, I don't know, the hardcore persona of a fitness coach or the like old cliche of like a like a hard-edged drill sergeant. And it's incredibly important to treat that level of trust with the appropriate amount of care. And I think that's probably the biggest lesson that I can take away from 11 years of tormenting people for their fitness goals.
Yeah, and I have experienced that, as I've shared with you before, is there we are not naming names. But there's a person that I was training with just because they're like, oh, hey, sign up with me. I forgot what the initiative was. It was basically like to get trainers more clients or something.
There was a thing, an event going on, and that particular now former coworker
Mhm.
was trying to make sure that he had a full schedule for that day's event.
Mhm. And I somehow got put in there, because I met
Mm.
him before, and at the time it was pretty cool. But during our training session, like there was like the way that you talk to your clients and the way that your coaches talk to you, need to be respectful and within your boundaries that you're comfortable with.
Mhm.
And so for me, I was uncomfortable in my training session, not because there was anything inappropriate happening, but it was more just like the terminology and the wording that this person chose to use in regards to like an exercise for myself. I was doing like crunches, and the way that he tried to motivate me to get like the higher number of crunches, or like to go higher, like physically lifting my body up. His wording, which was triggering to me, was, you want to burn off that fat, you want to crunch that fat off. And I was just like, okay, cool, sir. Thank you. I know I have cellulite, as do other humans. It's a necessary part of your body, keeps you warm in case you get stranded in the desert. It's how your body's going to feed itself. I understand like maybe where he was coming from, but then, fat,
Yeah.
especially for women, has been used like meaning that you're less than, or it's been turned into like a taboo word, and it's not just like, a part of like the human body. It's kind of like stigmatized. And so when he used that
Yes.
word with me, I was like, that's not a way to motivate me. Maybe motivate
No.
me like, you could do one more, just that would have
Right.
been way better for me. And then other I can do cardio, and I used to teach Zumba like 5 days a week and all that fun stuff. But for whatever reason, our workout was like way cardio focused, and I felt like I was gonna throw up in the session. And I was just
Mm,
like, I'm gonna
don't waste
vomit.
food. It's too
Yeah.
expensive.
Honestly. And I was like, I don't feel good. And he's like, just keep going. I'm like, if someone tells you they don't feel good, just stop. I took the liberty myself, and I stopped because I was
Yep.
like, I'm
Hell yeah.
uncomfortable. I'm gonna throw up. And if you keep talking to me the way you're gonna talk to me, sir, I'm throwing up on you. Like,
Well, considering his pattern of behavior, he would have deserved it. But yeah, no. If and it's not entirely uncommon for someone to feel like they're going to vom during a workout just because you are increasing lactic acid in your body. It could potentially go, hey, there's a lot of additional acid in me. I would like to balance pH. I'm gonna eject acid from an easy source. Um, and so like, yeah, if a client expresses that they are potentially going to expel, um, we don't we don't want to intentionally trigger that. We want to let stuff settle down because again, food is expensive, and also the act is very stressful on the body. And we're using exercise already as a means of like creating a particular kind of physical stress. We don't want to increase unbeneficial stress. And no, but yeah, no, that guy was gross.
I'm glad we're not
Yeah.
naming names, but yeah, and even as a coach myself, I have to continually be mindful of my words, especially now as a communications coordinator and, speaking publicly and things like that. So, just be nice to yourself, be nice to others, and just know that our words have an impact on others that we might not even be aware of because you don't know everybody's story.
It's true.
For folks who feel overwhelmed and out of place in fitness spaces, how do you recommend folks to like navigate those challenges?
Okay. So there's a couple of things for that. If you are shopping around for a gym and you have the ability to be a little choosy with it, I found two things. One, trying to find a facility that isn't drowning in mirrors does tend to be really, really helpful at reducing a lot of people's initial anxiety. The other part is recognizing that for the most part, most people in a gym are tend to be really, really wrapped up in kind of their own issues that they have going on. They're kind of self-absorbed. Um, and unless what you are doing in a gym is lewd, loud, or just blatantly stupid, and I don't mean like maybe you're using machines slightly off, but like you are clearly doing something intentionally wrong. Um, Most people are so wrapped up in their own thing to really take any notice of that. And that comes with a few caveats because that tends to be that's more true for some for this is the discussion of male privilege desperately trying to roll its way out of here. But sorry, I'm gonna reposition real quick. Ah. But yeah, those two are kind of the big ones for people that feel like they're overwhelmed. And again, to my advice from earlier, start simple. If you know that you are going to be overwhelmed in going in using a particular piece of equipment or doing a particular exercise, you don't necessarily have to do that one yet until you're comfortable with it. You can do something simpler and less scary for you.
Yeah, and even scouting out the gym, like you were saying beforehand, just go look at it. Go do
Yeah,
an introduction
get a
if you're
tour.
unsure. Start with it. If you're completely new and you have no clue about how to do anything in regards to using the machines, maybe, just maybe sign up for a personal training session. I feel
Check
like
out
Brooke is
the
kind of busy, but I mean, you can meet any of the other trainers. Um,
check
and
out check out their bios. See if the coach that you're considering is an unhinged trans lesbian communist.
yeah, that again for the listeners, the bio is ridiculous and I love it. So if you want to read it, your eyes are in for a treat.
It
Um,
used to it used to have extra colors in it until I discovered that there was problems with it rendering on desktop. So we had to remove the bonus colors from my bio.
Tears.
Hmm,
Uh,
pouring one out.
yeah, so I like that approach. Checking out the gym, being mindful of if there are mirrors to just know that if that's a trigger for you, that
Yeah.
you know maybe that gym might not be the best for you. And there's other centers at Indian Health Center. We have a wellness center. It's a smaller gym, intimate setting, not as many people. It's not super crowded, but then we also don't have like heavy machinery. It's
Hmm.
so I mean, pick your poison, pick which
Yep.
one you'd like. Um, and
Go with a
things like that.
friend.
Yeah, honestly, group exercise too could also be for people.
True. Go with 30 friends.
Yeah, go, yeah, 30 friends in Zoom, but it is a very like familial vibe when you get there. And there are the people who are like, my spot's in the front. I'm like, girl, there's no assigned standing spots. So like if you get there early, you can get in the front. Don't let the students that are regulars throw you off because instructors we really favor the new people because we want them to not be afraid of the experience and to meet the other students. And hopefully for at least that 30 minutes or that hour, get along.
Any dance party's a mosh pit if you're brave enough.
Ooh, yeah. I'm scared of mosh pits. My nose almost got taken out in one, and I was like,
Oh no.
never again, never again.
Oh.
I cried. I got a random fist out of nowhere, and I just boom. And because it hits the nose and it's so sensitive, I was just instant tears. So if a mosh pit's for you, go for it. But watch out for your nose, please.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so what's next for you, Brooke? Do you, as in your journey as a coach, personal life, are there any goals or projects that you're particularly excited about?
Let's see. Presently, I have to think of the calendar. I am 14 months out from being allowed to compete in powerlifting until I've been on hormones for 36 months. So we have 14 more months of prep time to try and build as much muscle and strength as I can before I get to actually compete again. So I've got that as kind of the long-term prospect for that. My goals in coaching are kind of the same as they've always been. Help as many people as I can fit into my schedule without ADHD burnout, and remain a hopefully decent human being about it through all of it, and to give people the kind of conversation during their training session that they would normally have with like their hairdresser.
Those are the vibes. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like the theme of today's episode was, new year, new mindset. Cause I am tired of hearing new year, new me, because I'm like, honey, it's the same you, just,
Yup.
just a more experienced version of you. And I don't
Yes.
want folks to think like, oh, 2025 is going to be my year. And then something happens. Maybe their car breaks down. Maybe they sprain their ankle and they're just like, no, 2024 or 2025 is cursed. Never
Given the
again
current
shall.
given the current geopolitical climate, I'm gonna look very, very cautiously at anyone who tells me 2025 is gonna be their year.
Mhm.
But I agree completely. I don't like the premise of like a new year, semicolon, a new you, because it's based on the implication that the current you or the quote old you is bad. And I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt that the default you isn't bad. So this new year, this new goal set, it's totally great to build goals based on an arbitrary calendar marker of like, okay, this is going to be the period of time in which I'm going to work on this new thing. That's great. But lend yourself like a little bit of like compassion and humanity and recognize that you are trying to add to yourself and not throw it out the window.
Yeah. And I think that, when folks are like, man, this year is going to be amazing, blah, blah. Every year they do the same spiel, and then the gym memberships just increase and the amount of visits increase. And then at the end of the
Number
month,
go
in
up.
February, yeah, the number goes down. So I just like to reiterate, like it's all about the mindset, and your mindset can change at any point in time of the year. If you feel like this is a goal I really want to achieve, whether it's physical, mental, academic, or if it's job related, whatever it is, pick that goal. And if you're serious about it, do it. Like Brooke was
Yeah.
saying earlier, for exercise and being on a fitness journey, the first thing that you do is start and
Yep.
start small. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the IHC podcast. Is there anything else that you wanted to say? Any other final words of wisdom?
Make good choices. The usual every successful social revolution requires two kinds of people who bring bricks and people who bring potato salad. It's okay to be either or.
Love that. I love it. And I, for the listeners, I'm so sorry. I did my ugly like laugh,
Hey
because
now,
that was usually like the end of each session. I would be like, "All right, thank you so much for the workout," and she's like, "Make good choices, or at least one good one."
I'll have you know that last week I told a client to do one spite. So, I'm branching out.
Yeah, it's all about balance. Thank you so much for listening to IHC Podcast. If you like our content, rate, review, and subscribe. Check out our social media. Our handle is IHC San Jose. And to keep up to date on some of our events, go ahead and check out our website at indianhealthcenter.org/events. Thank you.